Hi everyone, I'm Jessica
And I'm Lisa
from the Balanced Real Estate team in Prescott, Arizona. In today's video, we'll share the top 10 questions you should ask a buyer's agent before hiring them to represent you in the purchase of a home. So let's get going, and if you want to see more of our videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
There are a lot of good real estate agents out there, and there are a lot of not so good agents out there.
How did you find out about them? And what we hear is, oh, I met them at an open house. They seemed nice, so we decided to use them. Or our aunt recommended them. Or the worst offender is the family member who has their real estate license but isn't a full-time agent, and things don't always go well. We find that buyers spend so much time looking at home search websites. They're on Zillow, they're on Redfin, and Realtor.com. But when it comes to actually hiring an agent, they're not doing their due diligence. They're not doing their homework. They're not putting these agents through the vetting process like interviewing them. Remember, they're going to work for you, so why wouldn't you interview them?
So here are the top 10 questions that you can ask your buyer's agent to ensure they will really work for you. We'll hit the number 1 question last. Question number 10 is, how long has that agent been in business? Well, there's no right answer here, but there is a wrong answer. 20 years experience is great, but maybe not necessary. 10 years experience is great, but again, maybe not necessary. You just want to make sure your agent has the experience and is capable of doing what you want to do, which is to purchase the house and go through all the contingencies and make sure everything goes smoothly. You probably don't want to be your agent's first transaction. You probably don't want your agent to tell you that they just got their license 2 months ago. You want to make sure your agent has experience. You can't teach experience because every transaction is different, and there's something new that comes up with every contract that an agent learns from. You want your agent to have been around the block a few times. Question number 9 is, why did the agent get into real estate? This question will uncover your realtor's motivation to get up every morning and to serve you as a client. Most agent-client relationships break down over lack of communication or miscommunication. So when it comes to negotiating or showings or communication, you want to understand where they're coming from and how they think as a person. Asking the why question, why did you get into real estate, is going to tell you more about who your agent is as a person, which will help communication significantly down the line.
Question number 8 is, how many clients does an agent have? You want to make sure your agent has enough time to dedicate to you and your search. You also want to make sure that you are not your agent's only client. Why is that? Well, for some agents, if that deal starts going sideways and you want to back out of the deal, that agent only has a 1 shot at a commission check that month. So some agents may want to save the deal even if the client wants to back out. So what happens when an agent says that they have 50 other clients? This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Maybe this agent is very successful and has 12 other buyer's agents working under him or her, and you're talking to all of them. It may get confusing, but hopefully they have a system and process in place to help facilitate a smooth transaction. You just want to make sure you don't get lost in the shuffle, and this can happen with larger teams.
Question number 7 continues from the last question in regard to teams. Will I be working with you or your team? The team model has become more and more popular, so make sure you know what type of relationship you're signing up for. We like the team model, and it can work great depending on how big the team is. There could be a showing agent, and all they do is show the properties to the buyers, and then an office assistant who handles all the paperwork. And then maybe there's a lead buyer's agent who oversees everything and helps out with writing the contract and negotiating. Both of us have been part of larger teams, and what we didn't like about it was how things could get lost in the shuffle. There must be constant and clear communication between all of these parties, and that sometimes doesn't happen. And here's why. A showing agent should be really tuned in to the buyer's needs when showing houses, but if that showing agent hasn't been involved with the buyer from the start, and then the buyer gets passed off to the buyer's agent, it can seem to be a little disconnected. The buyer's agent is responsible for all of the details of the contract and not an assistant. We've witnessed circumstances where the buyer's agent tells their assistant to write up an addendum to the contract, and this is not a good practice. The buyer's agent is educated about the contract and details and knows the language that needs to be included in the addendum. And the buyer's agent should be writing up that addendum. It's not the assistant's responsibility. It's not the assistant's responsibility to track the contract deadlines. It's not the assistant's job to call the listing agent and tell them this and that. And it's not the assistant's responsibility to talk to the buyer about the contract. Again, that is the buyer's agent's responsibility. Before you know it, you don't know who has talked to who about what. Our real estate team consists of just the two of us. We both get to know our buyers and sellers. We research properties, we show the property, we write and negotiate the contract, converse with the other agents directly, track the timelines, talk to lenders, inspectors, the title company, and more, so you see our faces and hear our voices all the way through the contract and beyond.
Question number 6 is, in what area does the agent primarily do business? This question should be asked in person at the initial buyer consultation and even on the phone before you meet with the agent. This question is a two-part question. You want to confirm that your agent knows the area where the houses are that you are interested in. For instance, we may have buyers who say they want to look at homes in the Pine Tree area of Prescott. We know exactly what homes are in the treed areas of Prescott. Maybe a buyer says they want to be closer to Phoenix, but in the treed area. Well, more than likely, that area is going to be out of our area of expertise, and we may refer you to an agent who works that area on a daily basis. Referring you to another agent who is more familiar with an area serves a buyer much better, especially if we aren't familiar with the area's rules, regulations, subdivisions, or types of homes. Question number 5 is, what sets that buyer's agent apart from the other real estate agents? Sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference between different real estate agents or see the value that one agent brings to the table over another. So ask the agent, what do they do differently? What sets them apart from other agents? So that agent should be able to answer that question very quickly. We have lived and worked in the Prescott area for 30 years combined. Both of us have worked as transaction coordinators, team leaders, and managing brokers. We worked our way up, learning every system, studying the contract, and have been fortunate enough to have seen many cycles of the real estate market, both good and bad. We have over 100 videos on our YouTube channel about the Prescott area real estate market, what to do when in Prescott, buyer and seller tips and tricks, home tours, neighborhood tours, and more. Not many agents in the area cover as much as we do. We live in the inventory that we sell. We don't drive an hour back home at the end of the day. We are 15 minutes from where we live. We see past clients in the local restaurants, in the grocery stores, and at our favorite smoothie place.
Question number 4 is, how do you as a buyer's agent get paid? Well, if any of you have been following the National Association of Realtors lawsuits, how agents get paid is going to change come July 2024. Sellers currently negotiate the commission for their list agent and the buyer's agent into the listing price of the home. When the home sells, the listing agent collects the commission and then pays the buyer's agent their commission. In July, this will change. The buyer will be required to sign an employment agreement with their buyer's agent and pay the buyer's agent's commission, unless the seller is willing to offer concessions to the buyer in order to pay the buyer's agent. For more information about why it's important to hire a buyer's agent, watch our video, What Does Your Buyer's Agent Do? We will list this video in the comments section below. Question number 3 is, after hearing a buyer's needs, what does the agent feel is the best strategy moving forward? Your agent should have a good idea of how to best proceed to find the type of property you're looking for. And it's not just putting you on an automated email search. Does the agent have a website for you to set up your own search? Do they check out the open houses, especially the houses that may match what you want? Do they send direct mail to the areas you're interested in, asking residents if they want to sell their homes? Do they email blast other agents to see what they have coming up, or maybe send an in search of announcement on local social media pages? Do they email to see if other agents have something that could be a good match? Do they check expired listings, listings that fell out of escrow, or distressed properties like foreclosures? Here's something else that we do. We may set you up on a search, but to get the best results, we're going to search listings and then go through them one by one to see how many of your criteria is an exact match, because we don't want to send you a bunch of junk listings. Maybe your agent will go to someone's door for you and ask for information. I've done that several times. I had some folks who were looking at a certain piece of property and were wondering about the wells in the area and how much water they produced. I went to a neighbor's house and asked about his well. He was more than happy to tell me all about it.
Question number 2 is, will the agent communicate? As we mentioned earlier, most relationships break down because of a lack of communication, and it's the same for the agent-client relationship. Agents need to be on the same page with you about how you want to be communicated with. Do you want it by text, email, or by phone call? How many times a week? Or maybe you just want weekly updates or just a recap every 2 weeks. What about when you finally get into contract on a house? I know with our clients, sometimes it can be daily conversations or just a check-in to see if there's anything they need. Sometimes it's a conversation to put them at ease about their home purchase or to assure them that it's going to be okay. And the number one question to ask your buyer's agent is, what questions do you have for me? This might be the most important question of all. Here's why. If you go to a job interview and at the end of the interview, the interviewer asks you, the job applicant, what questions do you have for me? And you say, I don't know, I don't have any questions. That makes you seem disinterested or that you don't really care. Your agent should be asking you how long you've been looking, what's the reason for your move, why does the Prescott area interest you, what are your interests, what do you like to do in your free time, have you seen any properties either online or in person that you like, what do you like about one area compared to another, do you prefer some acreage when you buy a home, or do you like to just lock it and leave it? What is the time frame for your moving? And the list goes on.
Well, we hope we answered some of your questions about what to ask when hiring a buyer's agent. If you're thinking about moving to the Prescott area or planning a trip to visit to see if it's right for you, we can help you get to know the place we call home. If you're ready to start your search for your Prescott area home, go to PrescottRealEstateAndLiving.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and help others find this information. We post home tours, neighborhood tours, buyer and seller tips and tricks, real estate sales stats, the best things to do in Prescott, and more. Check the comments below for our video entitled, What Does a Buyer Agent Do? And for our contact information. You can also request buyer and seller guides or a relocation package. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.